The Goonies isn't just a movie, it's a treasure map back to childhood chaos, booby traps, and adventure. But behind the laughter and pirate gold lies a world of bizarre on-set secrets, wild kid antics, and moments the studio would rather you forget. So grab your map, dodge those traps, and let's uncover 20 weird facts you never knew. Number 1. The Goonies was mostly shot on location in Oregon. One of the biggest reasons The Goonies feels so authentic? Because most of it was. The movie was shot almost entirely on location in the rainy seaside town of Astoria, Oregon, over a grueling 5-month schedule. The kids didn't just act like friends, they became them, living out the adventure scene by scene in story order. That's rare in Hollywood. Director Richard Donner wanted their reactions to feel real as the treasure hunt unfolded. While the iconic tunnels and One-Eyed Willy's pirate ship were built on massive Burbank sound stages, everything else, the misty coastline, the old houses, the docks, was 100% Oregon. The gloomy weather and salty air weren't movie tricks. They were nature's own special effects. That's why The Goonies doesn't just look real, it feels alive, like you could still find those kids riding their bikes through Astoria today. Number 2, The Goonies marked Josh Brolin's movie debut. Before he became the world's most intimidating villain, Josh Brolin was just a teenager in sweatbands and shorts. The Goonies marked his very first film role, playing the overprotective big brother Brand Walsh. It was Brolin's Hollywood baptism by fire, surrounded by chaos, laughter, and non-stop energy from his young co-stars. And yet, even in his debut, you could see it. The charisma, the confidence, that screen presence. Fast forward a few decades, and he's starring in No Country for Old Men, Deadpool 2, and of course, as Thanos in The Avengers. When people say everyone starts somewhere, this is what they mean. Funny enough, Brolin has said the hardest part of The Goonies wasn't the acting, it was keeping up with the wild kids. Little did he know, that wild energy would soon get even stranger, because later in Fact 11, we'll meet a villain who mixes crime with opera. Number 3. Sean Astin accidentally called Brolin by his real name. Even legends make mistakes, and this one's hidden in plain sight. In one scene after Chunk accidentally breaks a water cooler in the Fratelli's abandoned restaurant, Sean Astin accidentally calls Josh Brolin by his real name, not his character's name, Brand. You can actually hear him say, "Josh, help," instead of Brand. It's quick, but once you notice it, you can't unhear it. The funniest part? Nobody caught it during filming. With so much energy, improvisation, and shouting on set, the little flub slipped past editing and made it into the final cut. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment that reminds you how raw and spontaneous The Goonies really was. These weren't polished adult actors. They were kids thrown into a chaotic adventure, and sometimes reality bled into fiction. It's a small goof that fans now treat like a secret Easter egg from Mikey himself. Number 4. Jeff Cohen, who played Chunk, is still in the movie business, but not as an actor. The Truffle Shuffle made Jeff Cohen an instant icon, but it also marked the end of his acting career. After The Goonies, Cohen didn't chase fame. He chased a law degree. Today, he's a founding partner at an entertainment law firm in Los Angeles, representing actors, writers, and producers, the very world he once performed in. Director Richard Donner saw Cohen's potential early on. When Cohen applied to UC Berkeley, Donner personally wrote him a recommendation letter praising his heart and intelligence. It worked. Cohen graduated, earned his JD, and built a career that would make Chunk proud. Ironically, he's still surrounded by movie stars. Only now, he's negotiating their contracts. From dancing shirtless in a driveway to drafting Hollywood deals, Cohen's story proves you don't have to stay in front of the camera to make your mark in Hollywood. Number 5. Astin's One-Eyed Willy speech was technically improvised. That emotional monologue about One-Eyed Willy wasn't scripted word for word. It was raw instinct. Director Richard Donner wanted Mikey's big speech to sound like it came straight from the heart. So instead of giving Sean Astin the lines, he simply told him the story of One-Eyed Willy moments before filming and said, "Now tell it back to me." Cameras rolled, and Astin delivered something pure magic. Wide-eyed, trembling, full of belief. The words weren't perfect, but the feeling was. That speech captures everything The Goonies stands for. Courage, friendship, and the dream of something bigger waiting just beyond the next tunnel. It's no wonder fans still quote it nearly 40 years later. That improvised moment turned Mikey from just another kid on an adventure into the emotional heart of the entire movie. That's movie alchemy, and it came straight from the gut. And that heart, it's what connects to a wild Easter egg later in Fact 14, where the Goonies world collides with another Spielberg classic. Number 6. The treasure map was speckled with real blood. That weathered treasure map that kicks off the Goonies' wild adventure? Yeah, it's literally marked with real blood. Production designer J. Michael Riva thought the prop looked way too fresh for something that was supposed to be over 300 years old, so he decided to age it himself. First, he soaked it in coffee to give it that yellowed, time-worn look. Then, when he wanted to add a few bloodstains for realism, he realized the prop department was out of paint. His solution? He cut his own finger and dripped real blood onto the map's edges. That's right, every smear and splatter you see is 100% authentic. The result was a perfectly grimy, ancient-looking prop that became one of the movie's most iconic symbols. Number 7. Sloth was an actual tough guy. Before he became the lovable monster who saves the Goonies, Sloth was one of the toughest men in professional football. Actor John Matuszak, the gentle giant behind the character, wasn't just playing strong, he was strong. He was the first overall pick in the 1973 NFL Draft, a two-time Super Bowl champion with the Oakland Raiders, and one of the league's most intimidating defensive ends. His transformation from athlete to actor gave Sloth a strange duality, terrifying on the outside, soft-hearted on the inside. As a nod to his real-life past, Matuszak's costume even includes a Raiders t-shirt, peeking out beneath his pirate vest. That detail wasn't random. It was a wink to football fans who recognized the face beneath the makeup. On the field or on screen, Matuszak embodied the same spirit. Brutal strength paired with surprising heart. Exactly what made Sloth unforgettable. Number 8. Sloth's Superman t-shirt is a nod to Richard Donner. When Sloth tears open his vest near the end of the movie and reveals a bright Superman t-shirt, it's not just a cool costume choice, it's an inside joke. Director Richard Donner, who helmed the Goonies, also directed Superman, the movie in 1978, the film that redefined the superhero genre. The moment serves as a fun Easter egg, tying the two cinematic worlds together. It also fits perfectly with Sloth's character, misunderstood but heroic, kind-hearted but powerful. In that single shot, Sloth literally becomes the Superman of the Goonies story, saving the kids and defeating the villains. Fans who caught the reference back in the 80s got a good laugh, but even today it stands as one of cinema's most charming crossovers. And this Superman nod will loop back later in Fact 17 when another legendary reveal brings out real-life reactions that no acting could fake. Number 9. It took 5 hours. Every morning to turn John Matuszak into Sloth. Transforming John Matuszak into Sloth wasn't just movie makeup. It was a full-blown engineering project. Every morning, the crew spent 5 painstaking hours gluing on prosthetics, layering latex, and fitting a custom animatronic eye that could blink independently. The entire process was grueling. The makeup was hot, heavy, and claustrophobic, and once it was on, Matuszak could barely move or see. To top it off, the mechanical eye was controlled remotely by a technician, which meant if the battery died or the wires jammed, shooting had to stop completely. Despite all that, Matuszak never complained. He stayed patient, cracking jokes and staying in character between takes. The result was one of the most memorable movie monsters of the decade, a creature that looked horrifying but radiated warmth. Every expression Sloth made came from pure dedication, 5 hours of pain that turned into movie immortality. Number 10. Sloth also loves Errol Flynn. Even chained in a basement, Sloth had great taste in movies. The black and white pirate film playing on his tiny TV is the 1935 Errol Flynn classic, Captain Blood. It's not just a random choice, it's a perfect parallel. Both Captain Blood and the Goonies are about outcasts and rebels who find redemption through adventure. Flynn's swashbuckling hero mirrored the journey Sloth would soon take, from prisoner to savior. The detail also fits Donner's sense of humor. Instead of showing Sloth as some mindless creature, he gave him a cinematic soul. The image of this disfigured gentle giant giggling at an old pirate movie is heartbreaking and sweet, a subtle reminder that Sloth wasn't a monster at all. He was a dreamer, just like the kids, and by the film's end, he gets his own swashbuckling moment proving that everyone, even Sloth, can be the hero of their own story. If you've made it this far, you're definitely a Goonie at heart. You're probably about the same age as our channel owner, which means you have memories of watching this movie with your cousins or at a sleepover with your bestie, so send it to them so that they too can reminisce in this movie magic. Now, hit that like button faster than Chunk doing the truffle shuffle, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes secrets from your favorite 80s classics. All right, back to the treasure hunt. And trust me, the next facts are pure gold. Number 11, the Fratellis appreciate opera. Remember back in Fact 2 when a young Josh Brolin was struggling to keep up with all the chaos on set? Well, this is part of what made it so unpredictable. Of all the villains to ever chase a bunch of kids through booby-trapped tunnels, the Fratellis might be the classiest. Jake Fratelli, the loud-mouthed crook played by Robert Davi, is a criminal with a surprising passion, opera. In one scene, he belts out a tune from Giacomo Puccini's Madame Butterfly, first to poor Sloth and later to Chunk before the kid gets captured. What most fans don't know is that Davi actually trained in opera singing before becoming an actor, and he performed the piece himself on set. The result is this hilarious clash of elegance and chaos. A wannabe tenor performing Puccini in the middle of a hostage scene. Only in the Goonies could a moment swing from classy to creepy to funny in 10 seconds flat. Jake might be a crook, but he's a crook with serious range and perfect pitch. Number 12. Chester Copperpot may or may not have been a veteran actor. Remember the skeleton of Chester Copperpot, the explorer who vanished while hunting for One-Eyed Willy's treasure? There's a weird Hollywood mystery behind that face. Though the actor is uncredited, rumor has it the photo of Copperpot used in the film is actually Keenan Wynn, a veteran character actor known for Dr. Strangelove and Annie Get Your Gun. Wynn was originally supposed to appear in Richard Donner's Superman movie as Perry White, Clark Kent's boss, but he had to drop out due to exhaustion. Fans later noticed the uncanny resemblance between Wynn's old headshots and Copperpot's dusty portrait, sparking a theory that Donner included him as a sly nod. To this day, it's never been confirmed, which makes Copperpot's identity just as mysterious as the treasure he was after. Fitting, right? Even his bones come with a backstory no one can quite prove. Number 13. The bats in the underground caves were created using some movie trickery. The shrieking swarm of bats that terrifies the Goonies in the tunnels? Totally fake, and kind of hilarious when you know the truth. The bats were actually bow ties and wads of black papier-mâché launched out of air cannons. The crew needed a cheap, fast way to simulate dozens of flapping creatures without dealing with real animals or complicated animatronics. When the cannons fired, the lightweight props fluttered and spun just right under the lights, creating a surprisingly realistic illusion. The kids' screams were genuine, too. Donner never warned them when the fake bats would fly. Combine that with the echoing cave set and a few well-timed sound effects, and movie magic did the rest. It's one of those classic 80s tricks that proves creativity beats CGI any day. The next time you rewatch that scene, just picture dozens of flying bow ties. Number 14. The Goonies takes place in the same universe as Gremlins. Remember that raw, unscripted moment from Mikey's speech in Fact 5? The one that felt too real to be fiction? That same authenticity bleeds into the world building here. The Goonies and Gremlins actually share the same cinematic universe. When Chunk calls the police early in the movie, the officer on the other end rolls his eyes and says, "Is this like that time you told me about those little creatures that multiply when you pour water on them?" That's a direct reference to Gremlins, which came out a year earlier. Both movies were written by Chris Columbus, produced by Steven Spielberg, and even share actor Corey Feldman. It's a subtle Easter egg that suggests the sleepy town of Astoria exists in the same world where evil furballs run wild. Imagine Gizmo and Sloth hanging out, adorable and terrifying at the same time. In a decade full of crazy connections, this one might be the most unexpected cinematic crossover of the 80s. Number 15. You might think Richard Donner directed every second of the Goonies, but there's a hidden hand behind the camera: Steven Spielberg. In addition to being the film's executive producer and story creator, Spielberg actually directed a few scenes himself. Most notably, the sequence where the kids bang on the underground pipes and the emotional wishing well scene. Donner later admitted he let Spielberg step in because of his instinct for kid-centered adventure moments. And you can tell those sequences have that classic Spielberg spark: wide-eyed chaos, perfect pacing, and a dash of heartfelt wonder. It's the kind of storytelling magic that made movies like E.T. and Indiana Jones timeless. In a sense, The Goonies was a shared dream. Donner's grit mixed with Spielberg's heart. Together, they turned a scrappy kid's adventure into one of the most beloved cult classics ever made. Number 16. The slide at the end was totally real. When the Goonies make that wild, screaming descent down the slide to One-Eyed Willy's ship, it's not movie magic. That was a fully functioning water slide built by the Langford Surf Coaster Corporation, and yes, it worked exactly like it looks. The cast didn't need much acting. Those shouts of excitement were 100% real. Director Richard Donner later admitted he and the crew sneaked onto the set after hours just to ride it for fun. It was the ultimate wrap day amusement park ride, except this one led straight to a full-sized pirate ship. Spielberg reportedly joked that it was the best production perk in the business. Sadly, after filming, the entire set, ship and slide, was dismantled and destroyed, but that moment of pure childlike joy, captured on camera, became one of the most iconic sequences in 80s adventure history. Number 17. The Goonies' reaction to the pirate ship was real. Back in Fact 8, Sloth wore his Superman shirt like a badge of truth, and that same authenticity carries into this moment. When the kids finally lay eyes on One-Eyed Willy's ship, their stunned expressions weren't acting, they were genuine. Donner wanted authentic wonder, so he banned the young cast from seeing the ship beforehand. The moment the kids surfaced and saw the massive, fully constructed galleon for the first time, the shock was real. Josh Brolin's reaction was too real. He blurted out, "Fa!" in amazement, ruining the take. Donner yelled, "Go back under, do it again!" Still, the magic worked. The ship itself took 2 months to build, inspired by Errol Flynn's The Seahawk, and filled an entire soundstage. Later, Sean Astin disputed the myth, saying the kids could act genuine reactions just fine, but that didn't stop fans from believing the legend. Whether spontaneous or staged, that wide-eyed moment became pure cinematic treasure. Number 18. Mouth really lived up to his name. Corey Feldman's character, Mouth, earned his nickname in more ways than one. Sure, he talked non-stop, but he also had one unforgettable physical gag that proved it. In the scene where Mama Fratelli pulls a handful of jewels from his mouth, there's no editing trick. Feldman actually crammed every single jewel in there and nailed the shot in one take. The director expected multiple tries, but Feldman managed to keep a straight face while practically choking on treasure. It's absurd and a little gross, but it's one of those raw 80s filmmaking moments that would never pass a modern safety check. Between Feldman's non-stop quips and his willingness to nearly swallow prop jewels, Mouth became one of the most hilariously fitting nicknames in movie history. The kid literally couldn't keep his mouth shut. Number 19, the octopus attack that vanished. At the end of the Goonies, Data tells reporters the octopus was very scary. But wait, what octopus? Fans scratched their heads for decades until the truth came out. There was a deleted scene. Originally, Steph and Mouth were supposed to be attacked by a giant mechanical octopus while escaping One-Eyed Willy's ship. The creature was operated with crude animatronics and puppetry, and apparently it looked so fake that it made test audiences laugh out loud. Donner wisely cut it, though the scene reappeared briefly in some early VHS releases. Even better, the 8-bit video game version included the octopus as a final boss, so the line stayed in the film as a weird inside joke. In a movie full of booby traps, pirates, and hidden treasure, a random rubber octopus might have been one adventure too far. Number 20. June 7th is officially Goonies Day. Every year, the town of Astoria, Oregon turns into Goonies paradise. The mayor officially declared June 7th Goonies Day, and locals have kept the tradition alive ever since. Fans travel from around the world to visit the film's real locations, do movie quote-alongs, and even join the annual Truffle Shuffle competition. In 2015, for the film's 30th anniversary, Astoria hosted a massive reunion with cast members, location tours, and a Guinness World Record attempt for the largest Truffle Shuffle ever. The celebration perfectly captures what the Goonies has always stood for: friendship, adventure, and refusing to give up when things get tough. 4 decades later, the spirit of Goonies Never Say Die lives on, not just on screen, but in an entire town that still believes in treasure maps and childhood wonder. You know I'm going to take care of you because I love you. So here's your bonus. Fact: One-Eyed Willy's ship was almost given away. After filming wrapped, the production team didn't want to waste their full-sized pirate ship, so they planned to give it away to anyone who could take it. Warner Brothers reportedly offered the ship to a local theme park or museum, but no one had the space or funds to move it. The massive structure sat on the soundstage for weeks, collecting dust like a real shipwreck before finally being dismantled and scrapped. Cast members were heartbroken, especially Sean Astin, who admitted to stealing a few prop coins from the set as keepsakes. Ironically, the one treasure the Goonies found in real life, that incredible handcrafted ship, was lost forever. It's the most Goonies thing ever. The greatest treasure of all just slipped away. And that's the Goonies. 1985. 20 weird facts you never knew. From real slides to fake bats, deleted octopus fights to a pirate ship that vanished into legend, this movie remains a perfect blend of chaos, adventure, and heart. Nearly 40 years later, the cast has grown up, but the magic still hits like the first time you watched it. Because deep down, we all have that little part of us that still believes in buried treasure and secret maps. If you loved this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your favorite Goonies memory and share it with the person you got to watch it with. And hey, if you're craving more 80s weirdness, jump in the line for our next video on Beetlejuice. 1988, 20 juicy facts you never knew. Does it really make him appear if you say, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice? Uh-oh, what have I done? There he is on screen right now.
Wow, that was weird.